tell a friend. So this episode is going to be a vlog. Some great news. I secured a scholarship, a full scholarship. Finally after the struggle. If you have followed this channel for a while, or if you haven't, there's a video I did on lessons I learned on not making it to Columbia University. I had been called to study a master's in journalism, but I didn't get a scholarship, and basically without a scholarship I could not afford to go to Columbia. So at that point I decided to go and do my postgraduate diploma in law here in Kenya, the Kenya School of Law. And now I'm done. I am just waiting for admission to the bar as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I have already done everything I need to do to basically be admitted. So as we speak, I am just waiting for a date for admission. So that is amazing. That is great. I'm so glad that in as much as I did not go to Columbia, I still got to do my postgraduate diploma in law, and I passed. And so when I was nearly finishing the Kenya School of Law and I was just starting out, I was just preparing for my bar exams, I got a new job at the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is the BBC. And that was an exciting move, coming from the UN system to the BBC. And I was working as a journalism researcher for a program called the She Word. And my role was basically to ensure that we have panelists for the program, we have the call set up, we have enough program ideas, basically to support the entire production of the program, work with the producer, the editor, the journalist, the camera guys, like basically the entire team, to ensure that the program was on air. The program had been airing on NTV and was featuring issues affecting women in Africa, and was airing in about 16 countries across the continent. The program is no longer airing, so basically that's the whole thing. The program is no longer airing, but I did get to do that briefly. However, when I left the BBC, I had to think of what's next. So I had not done my pupillage, so I decided to go and do my pupillage and basically just finish all the requirements that I needed to finish to be admitted to the bar. But at that point I started thinking of my career. So initially I had really wanted to do a master's in journalism, but having worked for the BBC, I started wondering whether at that particular point I needed to do a master's in journalism, because here I was in a media house with a legal background, coming from a development context. Development is basically like the UN system and such. So I was like, maybe at this point this is not the right career move for me. Plus also media is increasingly digital. Right now media is digital. You as a viewer can just decide to be your own media personality, just start your YouTube channel and basically come up with your own content. So yeah, I quickly had to shift my thinking in terms of that perspective. So I decided to deal with my legal career, finish it up, and then now I started thinking of what is next for me. So I thought, let me take up a master's in law. When I left the BBC, I was not so sure what master's to do, so I started like looking around. I was like, should I apply for a general master's? I asked people who've done their PhDs, what do they think? Would it be okay to do a general master's? Because basically I was just so unsure. I was like, should I do a master's in media law, or a master's in intellectual property law, or a master's in human rights? I was so confused. But once I did my pupillage and I had like traveled to New York and done panel moderation, I'd gone to Tanzania, I'd gone to, which other country did I go to? Oh, I went to Cape Town, although I did not vlog it. I was like, okay, I think international law aligns more at this point with where I want my career to go. And compared to human rights, it felt, from my perspective, that international law was much more marketable. Although I was quite afraid of taking up international law, but now I'm no longer afraid at all. I was quite fearful because in undergraduate I didn't do well in international law. So I was like, then I do international law at masters, and this is the unit I failed at undergrad. But it's been a couple of weeks, a couple of months, my attitude has completely shifted. So I decided to take up a Master of Laws, in brackets, international law, at this particular point. And I started school shopping. So for me, University of Nairobi in Kenya was never an option. Basically, any option in Kenya was never an option. I didn't want to do my master's in Kenya. One, I had also really wanted to study abroad from way back when I was starting out my first year. But there were some hurdles that I encountered. Number one, I wanted to study law, and I couldn't study law as a first degree in the US, so the US was out. Then to go to the UK or Australia, like those countries, especially the UK, because I really wanted the UK because the Kenyan system and UK is basically the same. But I had done the Kenyan system, Kenyan Curriculum 844. So I needed to do a foundation year here in Kenya in like a British system school like St. Mary's or Brookhouse. And there's no money to go to Brookhouse and St. Mary's at all. I had also considered scholarships because Brookhouse had come to my high school before and talked to us about scholarships. They actually had, I think, scholarships for 2 students, but I did not meet the criteria for the scholarship selection. So that's how I never really applied to Brookhouse. Then the other schools were just too expensive. So I just decided to do the Kenyan system because it was the option that was more affordable to me and more available to me at that point, but I still wanted to go study abroad. So back to when I'm doing my pupillage and I've left the BBC, I start school shopping. I looked up a couple of schools in the US and the UK, and in Africa, I only considered one school. And I remember I had said, if I don't get this school, I'm not studying in Africa. So I only considered the University of Cape Town, basically because it's the top university in the continent. A number of my lecturers at the University of Nairobi had studied at the University of Cape Town. So it was the school that I was most familiar with within the continent, and that is reputable because also in my line of work and in my line of advocacy and my background as well, the reputation of your school does matter, which will be another vlog. Anyway, so I applied to a couple of schools, and the school that responded first was the University of Cape Town. So once I secured the University of Cape Town, I needed to find a scholarship. So I applied for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship and the Mandela Rhodes Foundation Scholarship. The Mastercard Foundation Scholarship rejected me, which is fine because the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship, which is the scholarship I have gotten, invited me for an interview, and I went to Cape Town in October last year for an interview. It was a physical interview, so they flew us to Cape Town, and I got to visit Nelson Mandela's residence in Cape Town. Oh, that was amazing. It was amazing. I got to visit Nelson Mandela's residence in Cape Town. I did the interview, and I think a week later they called me and they said that I had been selected as one of the 39 scholars from Africa. So I will do a separate video about the Mandela Rhodes Foundation Scholarship so that it's more comprehensive, more detailed, more informative. I'll make sure that I do that so that you guys can also learn about it and also apply for it in the next application cycle, which should be in March of 2023 or even in 2024 in the coming years, because the scholarship is here to stay. Yes, so I got a scholarship fully sponsored to the University of Cape Town, and now I knew my next career move immediately after my pupillage would be then to transition to do my Master of Laws at the University of Cape Town, which came at the appropriate time because I finished my pupillage in November and I start at University of Cape Town in February. So that was just like a good break, not too long, not too short, just to like figure out my life and transition. So here I am. Now, the first thing I had to do was like apply for a visa. So I didn't vlog like the visa application process, but I just wanted to share with you what you need to do to apply for a visa, like what documents you need. So you may know that as a Kenyan, you don't need a visa to go to South Africa. However, this does not apply if you want to go study abroad in South Africa, basically, because to go study in South Africa means you're going to be there for like at least 12 months depending on your program. And this visa that they've announced, this visa free movement that they've announced, is just applicable for 90 days. So that only makes sense if you're going for a conference or a workshop or a business visit, like something very short, like you're visiting a relative or something like that. But if you're going to be there for more than 90 days, then you do need a visa. So when you're applying for a visa as a student, you apply for something called a study permit. And the documents you need, number one is you need a completed application form, DHA 1738, Form 8, and you fill it in blank ink only. Please confirm the form that you're using, because when I went to VFS, the application center, I got there and then I had filled the wrong form. So I had to like come back the next day to apply again. The good thing with applying to South Africa is you don't need an appointment. So at least I didn't like lose out on my appointment or anything. I just went back the next day. And then you need a photocopy of a valid yellow fever certificate. You need a verifiable return flight booking or itinerary. You need a signed confirmation of a study letter from the school that you're going to. And then you need to pay 4,800 shillings, which felt like it had gone up when I was there. I don't know, maybe it's this economy. And then the other documents you need is a provisional acceptance or acceptance of that learning institution for the duration of the course, an undertaking by the registrar or principal of the learning institution providing proof of registration. Providing proof of registration. So like for the University of Cape Town, the moment they sent me an offer, they also sent me this proof of documentation that I need to be given a visa. So my program is 1 year, but the immigration office at the University of Cape Town wrote to the embassy in that letter that my visa duration should be 2 years, something like that, because your program may be 1 year, but remember you need to go back for graduation. You might need to like go back and submit your dissertation, things like that. You might need to go to school to clear up something. So they don't give you like 1 year exact. So at least my study permit is 2 years. So at least in those 2 years, I can do all the necessary things that I need to do. And then you also need a police clearance certificate if you're 18 and older. This you get from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation if you are a Kenyan. If you're from another country, I'm not sure where you get it from, but if you're a Kenyan, you get it from the DCI. So I got mine from the DCI on Kiambu Road. And then you need proof of medical cover, which with my scholarship, I had it because like they paid for the medical cover. So I had documentation showing that. And then you need an undertaking by parents or legal guardian if they're the ones paying your fees. But if they're not the one paying your fees, you need like documentation from your scholarship provider. So in my case, I provided documentation from the Mandela Rhodes Foundation scholarship, like the letter, the signed agreement, all the documents. When you get your scholarship, they'll send you documents. So those documents are the ones you submit to the immigration office. Then you need proof of sufficient financial means as a learner. So that's where also your documents from the scholarship provider come in. Now here the challenge I had with the sufficient financial means is that the first day I went to apply, I got there and I gave them all my scholarship documents, but they still insisted that I needed to provide a bank statement. So I am not an immigration officer, so I don't know how to explain that, but I just wanted to like highlight that even with a scholarship, I still had to provide bank statements. So the next day when I went home, I had to go back with like the right form, because I had gone with the wrong one, and number two, I had to go back with a bank statement of at least 3 months. And then there are also some medical and radiological forms that you need to fill. So for me, the radiological form, I went to a radiologist and they took an x-ray of my chest just to show my chest was okay. And I also took I also went to the hospital. I went to a government hospital, and I had like some medical screening done and everything, and then I took that form to the embassy. So that was that. And then the visa processing was very fast. I think my visa came back in like 4 working days, if I'm not wrong. So if you're a Kenyan, the visa application process to South Africa is not very hectic. Your visa comes back in a very short time. Mine came back in 4 days, and it's called a study permit visa. You need to note that for the study permit visa, it must indicate the university you're going to study. So when you get the study permit visa, make sure you confirm. It should show the university you're going to study and for how long. Yeah, that's very important, so that when you're registering to your school, they can actually see that you have the correct documentation. Yes, that is it for the for basically the highlight, the moment. But I've still been documenting this journey. So one of the things I got to do was to have like a farewell picnic with a few of my colleagues from the university, which was nice because we like played lots of games, we ate a bit, but I think the games was the fun part. I really enjoyed that. So I just want you to like watch a bit of that, and then we come back here. So that is it. That was my entire day. Now, just to promote something a little bit, in every vlog I try as much as I can to tell you about my current read. So shortly, my current read is The Tax Prism, which I have not started reading because I only got it, as I filmed this, I only got it yesterday. So this is The Tax Prism. It is a publication by the Kenya School of Revenue Authority. which is in charge of training like professionals in the revenue collection sector in Kenya. So because of my work in education advocacy, I was approached by the editor of the magazine to write an article on transforming education in Africa, which I happily accepted, of course. So this is the tax prism. You can download it on their website. They have previous copies. I think when I was checking the website, they started all the way from 2021. So they have 4 copies a year. So this is the copy for the first quarter, and then they have another one for the second one, the third one, and the fourth one, like 4 times a year, 4 publications a year. And basically they have authoritative articles on tax and revenue administration in Kenya, but they also have special features. So my special feature was focusing on national matters and specifically transforming education in Africa. See that? That is me. Yeah, so thank you so much, the Kenya School of Revenue Authority, for seeing that my voice and the voices of the young people I work with are important and enabling me to share my perspective. So you can even download a digital copy on their website. You can also buy a physical copy if you order it, and the exact prices are actually shown on the website, and I'll make sure that I leave like the entire description to the website so that you're able to access it. If you are a professional, you could buy it. You could buy it for yourself, you could buy it for your children, you could also buy it for a school library and like put it there so that we have like people who are informed on important issues, because we want to raise a generation of knowledgeable people, not what do we call them? In Kenya we say maembes, like mangoes. We need people who are knowledgeable, young people across the globe who are knowledgeable. So do make sure you get a copy of the tax prism from KESRA, the Kenya School of Revenue Authority. Yes. Yeah, that is it. Next, what we need to do, we need to start packing. As I speak, I will be traveling in maybe 5 days from now. So I am those people who get so nervous whenever I'm just about to like fly out of the country. Like flying gives me the nerves. I don't know, I'd rather just go by bus, but well, you don't want to go to South Africa by bus. So I like just starting to prepare in advance and make sure that the day before I am not struggling to pack. The day before I am just waiting to go wherever I need to go. So let's start packing. It's been like an hour. We are done for the day. I'm really trying to avoid having a lot of luggage. So this is basically all the, I'll say shopping, like soap, all that, and some shoes. Well, 1 pair of shoes. It's a tiny suitcase though, but yeah, this should do, so I don't have to get to South Africa and start shopping and buying things. If there is anything that I've learned from this packing, is that I cannot pack my entire wardrobe, which makes me quite sad. I cannot pack my entire wardrobe, so I've only packed just enough clothes and just enough personal effects. I cannot carry a lot of things. I just can't. It's not possible. But I've never had a proper carry-on luggage, rather carry-on bag. So I've had to buy another one because for the first time I'm going to have to travel with all my electronics. Most of the time I just travel with my phone. I rarely carry any other electronic when I'm traveling, unless like I'm going to be very engaged in an event or something. So now this time I've had to go and buy this bag. Now the reason why I went for this one, King's Collection, specifically this particular bag, is because when I was in high school, I remember those days in high school, you couldn't really go home over the holidays with your metal box. So my mom got me a bag like this one. It was actually smaller. So that's the bag I used to carry like my textbooks and exercise books. And then I'd carry that home. And when I was thinking of a bag to buy, I was like, which bag should I buy? Oh my gosh, I don't feel like walking around looking for bags at this time. Then I remembered this bag. So I was wondering, do they still have them in stock? And it's been like 10 years now. So I was just like, okay, let me go to King's Collection on Moy Avenue and see. And they still have that exact bag. Exact. Look at it. It's a backpack. So they have this size, and then they have a smaller version. So I decided to get this one just so that I can have a proper carry-on bag, at least for some time. Even when I don't need to travel with a suitcase, at least I just have this bag with me. So I think it will serve its purpose for some time. Yeah. King's Collection, it's actually 2,200 Kenya shillings. And then this suitcase has a whole history behind it. This is the suitcase I used to use when I was in high school. And it's also from King's Collection. Guys, I trust King's Collection a lot. Maybe too much. But yes, I like this bag, this suitcase. That is because my mom also bought it when I was in high school, and I used to carry a couple of my things when I was going home. So I used to have like this bag and then a smaller bag like this one, this suitcase, and a smaller bag exactly like this one. And it really saved me a lot because I never had to like walk around with my metallic suitcase at all, ever. And it's been 10 years, like I said, and I still have this suitcase. That's why I'm saying I really trust King's Collection. For real, for real, for real. I've had this suitcase since I was like maybe 15 years old. Maybe. Yeah, around that age, because I was in high school. And it's never gotten torn, but the handle broke. You can't see it right now, but the handle broke when I traveled a while back, but I took it to a local tailor or something like that, and they fixed it, so it's been serving the purpose for a while. And because I'm not always traveling like every 2 weeks, so it's just okay, it's still working. Yeah, so it's a very good suitcase, very high quality fabric, and it's big enough. It's a standard size suitcase for traveling. Yeah, so yeah, that is my luggage. Two suitcases, one big one, one small one, although I wish I had two of these sizes. So maybe one later on down the line, I think I'll buy a similar suitcase to this one, so that I can have two big suitcases and then this carry on. Yeah, so we are now ready. We are ready to go. We're ready to go. Oh my goodness, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. See, even this suitcase still has my name from high school and my admission number. The writing is still there. Can you imagine? Yeah. Hello. Don't mind, my head is a bit chopped off. I've already packed my tripod, so not able to get a proper angle. I have never suffered when it comes to packing the way I have suffered, because I have never packed for a long-term trip, and now I am really struggling to fit everything. So like I mentioned, I have realized I can't carry my entire wardrobe, so I have been packing and repacking, and I keep feeling like my luggage is heavy. And there was a time I traveled and my luggage was too heavy, and let me tell you guys, to escape the extra charges, I had to wear like 3 sweaters. Oh my god, I just had too much. Like, I had a lot of luggage, so I had to wear extra clothes. And let me tell you, that trip ended up being so uncomfortable because I had too many clothes. Going through security was just extremely hectic, and I really never want to experience that kind of thing again. So I have been saying, I'll just keep reducing. I'll keep reducing until I feel comfortable enough. But I keep feeling like I'm not comfortable enough. I still have too much. So to quell my fears a bit, because I've never packed for a long-term trip. I only usually pack for like 10 days most of the time, so I never have a lot of worries with having too much luggage, because I always know this is just enough, it's gonna be okay. So to calm my fears, let me show you what I've done. You see this suitcase? So last time I showed you, it was open, like this extra zip, the one that gives you extra space, was open. So I've realized most of the time when my luggage is heavy is because that place is usually open. So then that means up here there's usually extra space, and then I usually now tend to pack more and more and more. So I decided to close the extra zip, this one over here, and make sure that everything is able to fit without this place being open. Then the other thing I've tried to do is to make sure that my clothes are flat in the suitcase. They're like flat and not folded or rolled to like accommodate more space. And then I have ensured that up here, when I was closing the zip, I was not like sitting on the suitcase so that I could close it. So I've just made sure that I can close the suitcase and open it without having to like sit on it or like squeeze it until it closes. I think that's the only way I'll be comfortable that I have packed at least not more than 20 kg, because also those swing skills at the airport are very funny. You get there and you have 10 extra kgs and you don't know where they came from. So that's the thing I tried to do even with my smaller suitcase. So even the toiletries I bought, I have reduced and reduced and reduced, and I constantly had to ask myself, if I got to Cape Town on the first day, what is it that I can't do without before I know where the shop is to buy something? So I have reduced and reduced and reduced and reduced. And let me tell you guys, the amount of reducing I think was like 50%. So like half of the stuff are gone. Then I've also reduced the number of like sweaters, because I also realized like sweaters and jackets have a lot of weight. So I've only carried my two heaviest. So one of them I'm going to pack it, then the other one I will wear it for the trip so that it doesn't add extra weight, because guys, jackets add so much weight to your luggage. Oh my god, guys, how do people even pack for a whole year? Like, I'm trying to pack for a whole year and I've only ever packed for like I think 2 weeks in my entire life. So I'm really struggling, but I'm really hoping that this will just be okay. If the luggage is too heavy, I hope that I'll be able now to put it in my carry-on, because I've just finished checking in and the maximum limit is 12 kgs for my carry-on. I really hope they won't measure it, but that means I just can't rely on my carry-on. So I have to make sure that my suitcase is as light as possible. Yeah, anyway guys, this packing is not easy. Not easy. We made it home. I am terribly, terribly exhausted, extremely exhausted, but we made it. I have not even managed to unpack. My things are just there. I tried to look for bedding, but oh, it's a Sunday, so the malls are closed. So I guess I'll have to just do everything tomorrow. Tomorrow is my first day of class, so I'm basically feeling like I'm having a sort of baptism by fire. I've just landed. I need to go to class the next day. I need to get myself oriented with the environment immediately, but I'm just truly grateful that I finally made it. So please stay here right on Cynthia Untamed. Keep following. I will be back with another video. Bye.